We arrived at the appointment and we went inside, exchanged the normal pleasantries, small talk. How far along are you? Laid back on the bed for the ultrasound. As soon as she started taking a look at the baby, I could tell there was some concern in her voice. She said, well, the sac looks good, the baby does not. Honestly, nothing could have prepared me for the weight of those words in that moment. I feel like in some ways, miscarriages can be so much more jarring because you don't have clear signs of something going wrong. I mean, I had minimal spotting for like 24 hours and that was it.
That's Jessa Seewald, formerly Jessa Duggar of 19 Kids and Counting. And she posted a very heartfelt, very painful video over the weekend revealing that she had experienced a miscarriage and all of the trauma that comes with it. Many women have, and some have told their stories. The odd thing here, though, is not all the comments and responses to this were as sympathetic as one might imagine. Let's let her tell more of the story. Maybe you can see why.
Because my history of hemorrhaging and all of that, there was concern that if I tried to just take something or pass the baby at home, that I might have trouble and have to be transported and all of that. It just wasn't something that seemed like a very good option. And so we decided to go to the hospital, get checked in there, and go through the process of a DNC. It was a difficult experience. Before getting checked in at the hospital, I just had a moment, like, by myself to just think about the weight of the situation and what had happened and start to process. And I was able to thank God in that moment for giving us this life, even if we would never be able to hold this baby in our arms.
If you thought the lack of positive reinforcing response was coming because she mentioned God, you'd be wrong. Listen to this part about DNC again. That's the problem. Listen, see if you can catch it.
Because my history of hemorrhaging and all of that, there was concern that if I tried to just take something or pass the baby at home, that I might have trouble and have to be transported and all of that. And so we decided to go to the hospital, get checked in there, and go through the process of a DNC. It was a difficult experience.
Process of a DNC. I feel like many people have been hearing about this, especially since we've been talking about women's rights being taken away from them as of last year after the Roe versus Wade decision was laid down and many states decided to attack. Here's a DNC from Mayo Clinic. Dilation and curettage is a procedure to remove tissue from inside your uterus. Healthcare providers perform dilation and curettage to diagnose and treat certain uterine conditions, such as heavy bleeding, or to clear the uterine lining after a miscarriage or abortion. In a dilation and curettage, your provider uses small instruments or medication to dilate the lower, narrow part of your uterus. Your provider then uses a surgical instrument called a curette, which can be a sharp instrument or suction device to remove uterine tissue. It's something that most, I assume, just about every woman that goes through a miscarriage has to go through afterwards, which isn't a very pleasant experience considering the emotional and physical pain that they're probably feeling. So she went through with that procedure. Chuds of TikTok pointed something out here as part of the problem. They said, just want to point out that Jessa Duggar got what is considered an illegal abortion in Arkansas, as it was not to save the mother's life. It appears she may have not done the 72-hour waiting and counseling period as well. Remember, abortion will always be, quote, legal for the wealthy. So she bypassed a couple of rules that Arkansas has put into place for all those regular folks, even ones who go through miscarriages, just like what Jessa did as well. The painful experience of all of that. So that clarification was widespread. Many advocates for women's health and their rights were pointing this out. And this is what Jessa wrote at the top of that YouTube video in response to some of that negativity. She said, women have DNCs for many reasons, not of all which involve killing a living human being. The ultrasound revealed that I had a missed miscarriage. My baby's heart had stopped beating 3 weeks before I had a DNC. By the way, this was not my first DNC. It was my second. My first was 2 weeks postpartum, Ivy's birth for retained placenta. Each person is created, is what she quoted as well. Quote, in the image of God. And to purposely destroy a baby in the womb is an affront to the God who created that life. She says there's a world of difference between someone dying and someone being killed. To equate one to the other and to have a mother grieving the loss of her baby, no less, is severely distasteful. I'm gonna say it again. A mother grieving the loss of her baby, no less, is severely distasteful. There's a world of difference between a mortician and a murderer. Even a child understands the difference between the two. Good points from Jessa, but she's still missing the point about the D and the C, which she said she's had twice. Again, that's a procedure that as these states decide to come for women's rights, they've made illegal. They've made illegal. As a matter of fact, here's someone that went through this whole thing. See if you can tell some of the similarities in their stories, but also the differences in how they were treated. This is one Amanda Zerwoski and her husband and the things they went through.
Her doctor told her,
"You're 100% for sure going to lose your baby." We just kept asking, isn't there anything we can do? Isn't there anything we can do? And the answer was no.
Her doctor said because of anti-abortion laws in Texas, they couldn't terminate the pregnancy, even though Amanda was at a high risk for developing a life-threatening infection. A few days later, Amanda did develop an infection.
I was shaking, my teeth were chattering. I was trying to tell Josh that I didn't feel good.
Very quickly, she went downhill very, very fast. She was in a state I've never seen her in.
There's a lot of commotion. And I said, what's going on? And they said, we're moving you to the ICU. And I said, why? And they said, you're developing symptoms of sepsis.
That was when I was really scared I was gonna lose her. Amanda almost died. That's not pro-life. Amanda will have challenges in the future, having more kids. That's not pro-life.
Nothing about it feels pro-life.
Pretty messed up, isn't it? So Jessica, this is the stance that folks are taking and either purposely or just ignorantly ignoring the similarities in what happens to many other women whose names aren't recognizable.
Yeah, I wonder what would have happened if she was a young single woman without a husband. Would they have treated her differently? Because fundamentally in Arkansas, I believe they outlawed these procedures because they don't want women to have sole control over reproduction and their own bodies. That is the purpose of these laws. Now, when you go into a doctor's office with your husband, the doctor will give you an illegal procedure and will not tell you it's illegal so that you then post on social media and people point out that you had something done that other women don't have access to because it is against the law and they are afraid that they will go to jail or prison. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's because the laws in our country don't make sense. It's like when Ted Cruz, when he was being questioned, this is a senator making laws about our lives and our bodies. He said in the case where a woman's life was in danger, that wouldn't be considered an abortion. But medically, it is an abortion. That is the procedure that you're getting. And they want to define themselves out of a problem because at the end of the day, them restricting people's access to this kind of medical care is not popular. And so they have to pretend like it's something else. And of course, people who are the poster child of American conservatism and traditionalism, they'll get access to the procedure. It's just so hypocritical and disgusting.
It's exactly what was called. And then when all this was going on, and then many defenders of these changes in these laws were like, look at these libs hyperventilating over this. This is the real life results of this. So again, as they said at the end, and I think that'll stick out, as she and her husband said, Amanda there, she said, me having to go through this is not pro-life, considering she almost died. Then number two, she's gonna have difficulties potentially having future children, which is what they said. They wanna replenish America with specifically what they said, white children. So they seemed white to me. I can't say for sure, I didn't run any DNA tests on them, but she's gonna have potential issues doing that in the future because it's all about their power, their status, and their control over people's lives. It's worth way more than those new babies that they've been claiming they want.